Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be showing you how to do a soak off and also a new set of extra long curved nails. So the first thing that I'm doing is just going in with a nail clipper and just cutting down the nails as short as I can. And this way, like whenever I come in to soak, we're just basically cutting off the unnecessary product. Trust me, I've seen where people would try to soak off the nails without cutting them, and y'all, it's gonna take forever. So cut them down as short as you can, and then after that we're gonna go in with an extra coarse drill bit to file down the acrylic. The reason why you want to file it down as much as you can is that way it's not going to take as long to soak off. So just going in with a safety extra coarse drill bit. I'll be sure to leave the link down below to this drill bit. This one is a ceramic one. Usually I use the carbide one, which is the gold metal one, but I think it's starting to get a little bit dull, so that's why I switched over to this one. But they're basically the same thing. They're just made out of different materials, but they do the exact same thing. So just following down the acrylic, and I still had a little bit of that clear acrylic underneath the nude colors, so we're just following down all the way down to the clear. And like I said, this is gonna just speed up the soaking process because the nail won't be as thick. And since these nails were pretty long, of course the acrylic was a little bit longer, so that's why I ended up switching over to this drill bit, which is like an extra coarse drill bit. Now I would not recommend using this drill bit if you are still kind of scared to use the drill and just not feel comfortable at all. So just because this one is so coarse and this one is not a safety one, so you could easily cut your client. So unless you're like super comfortable with the drill and you know that you don't cut your clients, then I would definitely use this one because it's a lot more sharper and it's going to get that product off a lot faster. But I would just say be careful and make sure that you know what you're doing when you're using this one. Alrighty, so after we finish falling down the acrylic, we're gonna go in with our little soaking dish, and we're just gonna let her nails soak in there for about 20 to 30 minutes, or really like 15 to like 20 minutes since we followed it down so much. But that's what the acrylic looked like once it was soaked off. And then after this, we're gonna go in and start the full set. So the first step is going in and pushing back the cuticles. I'm also gonna go in and trim down her natural nail, because you know we don't want them long underneath her acrylic since it is a new set. So just trimming them down. Y'all can't talk this morning. Trimming them down, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the other hand. And remember, when it comes to pushing back the cuticles, you can use any cuticle pusher, whether it's plastic, metal, or wood, as long as it can be disinfected or disposed of. Next, we're gonna go in with the 180 sanding band, and I am using this sanding band at 5,000 RPMs, and we're literally just going in there and removing the shine from the natural nail, focusing around the cuticle area first and then removing it from the rest of the nail. The reason why you want to focus around the cuticle area is because if you leave any little shiny spots around that cuticle area, you're gonna get lifting, because you know, like basically our body produces oils. Those oils happen to be on our nails, so if you leave it on there, your nail is just going to come off really easily, because it's like water and oil, they just don't mix together. So if you put the acrylic on there, it's going to come right off. So make sure that you're doing this really good. Again, that is a 180 sanding band and using the drill at 5,000 RPMs, and this is the Scarlet Melody Susie nail drill. Also, I want to remind you guys that I do have a storefront on Amazon, and I add all of these, everything that I get from Amazon, I've added to my storefront. So that way, if you're looking for something that I'm using and I mentioned that I got it from Amazon, you just go to the link and then it's going to show everything. And I do have it categorized. I have a category for like everything you need for press-on nails. Just other nail supplies. I have some for like home stuff that I bought that I showed you guys in my home tour video, so just go check it out. I'll be sure to leave the link down below for you guys. But yeah, so after we finish removing the shine from the natural nail, we're going to be going in and applying the nail tips. So the nail tips that I'm going to be using are going to be the clear curved nails, and she actually brought her own. But I think I already have these, because these are the same ones that I had on my website. But these, I think, are the Impress curved nail tips. They come in a little blue box like this. And like I said, I had these on my website. But yeah, so they're the Impress curved. And it's only like 100 nails, I believe. Yeah, it says 100 nails. So of course, just like any other time, we're just applying the nail tips, making sure that we measure them and that they fit from sidewall to sidewall. You don't want the nails to be too big or too small, because if not, you are gonna get breakage or lifting. So we're gonna go ahead and apply all of the nails. Once you got the correct size, just apply the glue, place it on the nail, hold it down for a few seconds, and then this glue dries really fast. This is the KDS glue, and y'all trust me when I say it dries like super fast, so it doesn't take long at all. As always, your nail tips come in a number 0 through a number 9 or 10, and with these, you just you know, making sure that as always that you apply the correct size tips. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, they come in a number 0 through a number 10 or 9, depending on the brand. And 0 being your biggest nail tip, and number 10 being your smallest nail tip. So we're going to finish applying the nail tips, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alrighty, so I'm going in and just trimming down the side of the nails to basically cut them into a coffin shape. So that way, whenever we start shaping, it's going to just save us just a little bit of time because we're already, like I said, cutting them into a coffin shape. Now, we're going to go in with an 80/80 hand file to shape up the nails. Now, let me tell you, whenever you're shaping curved nails, you want to make sure that you're holding your file at exactly a 90-degree angle. If you lean it in, y'all, and trust me because I've done this before and I didn't realize it, but if you lean your file in, you're gonna kind of cut into like the nail right where the sidewalls are. It's like you basically cut into the nail tip, and so you're basically cutting it to where it's gonna like break off super easily. So make sure that you hold your file from the sidewall to the free edge at exactly a 90-degree angle, and do not lean it in because you're gonna jeopardize the whole set. You're gonna make the tips break off super easily if you do that. So at exactly a 90-degree angle, and as you can see, since these nails are longer, I have to hold the tip as I'm filing them, that way they don't just wobble all over the place. But as far as shaping, it's going to be the same thing other than making sure you don't lean in your file, that way you don't cut into the tip. Alrighty, so this is what the nails look like after I've shipped them up. So after this, we're going to go in and just dust them off, and then I'm going to apply the JC Beauty Concepts primer, and then I'm going to go in with the JC Beauty Concepts clear acrylic, which I absolutely love. As you guys know, I switched over to using their products not too long ago, a few months, and I absolutely love it. It's so easy to work with. It's not too wet or too dry. It's like the perfect consistency. It's pretty affordable, so I definitely recommend it, because when it comes to acrylics, you don't want to go cheap, because it's going to just make your experience a lot worse than it should be. Trust me, I've tried cheaper acrylics before, especially first starting out, and it was super hard to work with because they either dried too fast or they were too runny. So definitely invest in good products. But as you can see, the first bead that I placed was right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meet, and then I'm just kind of patting it down and working it down towards the free edge. And then also I'm using the Alpha brush in a number 10, and I'll be sure to leave that link down below for you guys. But yeah, so also whenever you're brushing and patting the acrylic down, make sure that you're doing this super gently, because if you brush too hard, that's how you create like bumps and lumps. So be super gentle when you're doing this. And then after we brush down that first bead, we're gonna go in with a second bead. And when I'm applying acrylic, y'all, I'm not just applying acrylic just to apply it. I'm looking at the nail to see where I need to add more product. So anytime you see me lifting their nail up, that's me looking at it from the side, because as always, you know, whenever you're doing acrylics, you have to build your apex, and then of course have a nice thickness at the tip. Those are the two most important things that you have to look for as you're doing nails. So my tip was still a little bit thin, so of course I went in and added another bead at the tip. And then usually, like, I try to do like a 4-bar method, but when it comes down to me actually doing it, I kind of just do whatever, honestly. But even then, even like if I'm not following a certain method, I still always, you know, look at the nail from the sides. That way I know, okay, I've added enough acrylic, or, you know, like I still need to add more on the tip or more around the cuticle area, whatever it may be. But, you know, I'm paying attention to that. But as you can see, now we went ahead and applied the bead closer to the cuticle area. And when you apply the bead closer to the cuticle area, you want to place it as close as you can to the cuticle, but not on the skin, because then if it dries, it's going to be really hard to take off, and most likely you will get lifting. And then as always, wiping the sides of the nails, also going around the cuticle area and cleaning that up as well. And then I'm going in with another bead. Remember, y'all, make sure that before you add any more acrylic, that you look at your nail from different angles. That way you know exactly where to add it. So right then and there, I looked at the nail from the side. My apex was still not where I needed it to be, or how thick I needed it to be. So that's why I went in and added a little bit more. And then of course blending it in to the rest of the nail, and wiping the sides and looking at it some more to see where I need to add more product. So you have to be, or you have to pay a lot of attention as you're doing this. That way, you know, like I said, you're not just adding product anywhere. So next, moving on to the next nail, and we're just going to basically do the same thing. Remember, acrylic nails, or when it comes to doing acrylic nails, is the same steps every single time. You know, as far as prepping, as far as applying the acrylic, is going to always be the exact same thing. It's just a matter of practicing and doing it over and over and over again. And you literally just get better with time. You know, sometimes people just say like, oh, it gets better with time, you know, when it comes to like certain things. But when doing nails, like you really do get better with time, because, you know, you're just practicing and you kind of learn from your mistakes. You know, maybe the previous time you did something that you would change whenever you did another set, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, like I said, it literally just gets better with time. But we're just going to continue to do all of the nails. Remember, y'all, the most important thing is making sure that you're patting the acrylic down super gently. You don't want to brush too hard, because you're going to brush that product off. Another thing also is making sure that you wipe your brush up a lot as you're working. That way the product does not get stuck to your brush. Alrighty, so we're on the other hand and we're like halfway or more than halfway done. But same thing, I'm gonna go ahead and repeat the steps again. So placing the first bead right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meets, brushing the acrylic down super gently, wiping the sides, and then we're gonna go in and apply the second bead closer to the tip. So just placing it down, same thing, patting it down, gently brushing it down towards the tip. And when you're brushing it down, remember it's like a feathering motion. You don't want to brush too hard because you will brush that product off the nail. And then also sometimes with curved nails, the acrylic does get underneath the nail, so you can either just go in there with your brush and wipe it off, or even with like the tip of your finger, just go in there and kind of take it off. But you could always go in and just gently file underneath your nail to get rid of those little rough edges. But I went ahead and placed the bead closer to the cuticle area, cleaned around the cuticle area, going in and doing another bead closer to the cuticle. Same thing, patting it down, brushing it down, cleaning up, and then looking at the nail from an angle from the side to see where I need to add more product. Remember that it's really important. So I placed another bead right there in the middle, and I was able to determine where I needed to add more product by just looking at the nail from the side, because if you just look at the nail from the top, you're not going to be able to see your apex or thickness at the tip. So that's why you want to make sure that you look at your nail from the side as you're doing it. Is super important. So as you can see, my tip was still kind of thin, which is why I'm going in and adding more product at the tip, and of course just blending it in with the rest of the nail. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let you guys continue watching, and then pretty shortly we'll be moving on to the next step. Alrighty, so after we finish applying the acrylic, we're going to go back to that first hand and we're just going to go in and shape up or reshape the nails. So same thing, going in on the sides at a 90-degree angle. Remember, make sure that you are holding your file exactly at the 90-degree angle. That way you don't cut into the nail because then they're going to break off really easily. And that usually only ever happened to me with curved nails. Because whenever you shape them, it's like you really are not shaping like the middle of the nail. It's more like falling against the sidewalks and the free edge, if that makes sense, because it's curved. So it's not going to be able to touch the entire like side of the nail. So that's why you want to make sure that you hold it at exactly a 90-degree angle. And then also, as you can see, I'm going in at a vertical angle like this to try to get some of the little rough edges on the side that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and finish reshaping them and then we'll move on to the next step. Alrighty, so we're finishing up the filing part and then I'm going to give you a side view of what the nails look like, which is right here. As you can see, they're nice and smooth, and that was after I reshaped them. So after that, we're going to go in with the e-file and we're going to go in and just file, of course, around the cuticle area, going from the right side all the way over to the left side, going back and forth until you're able to see where the cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. That way you know that the acrylic is not on the skin. And then of course also following the rest of the nail to make sure that it's all nice and smooth. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that if you still have any little rough edges, that you go in with the drill bit and just gently follow the sides to get rid of any of those little pieces of acrylic on the side. So as always, I'm using the Melody Susie Scarlet Nail Drill. The drill bit that I'm using this time is the fine drill bit, and I'm using it at 10,000 RPMs. But as always, just use it at whatever speed you feel comfortable using it at. And you know, if it's faster or slower, whatever, but it does not matter as long as you feel comfortable while you're doing it. I know as a beginner it can get pretty scary. You're scared that you're gonna cut someone, but this is another thing that with practice, you get a lot better with using it. I know at the very beginning I was scared to use it, and I especially when I was going around the cuticle area. So I kind of would act like I was going around the cuticle area, but I really wasn't but I wasn't doing it as good as I should have been doing. So that's why I was getting lifting. So if you're still getting lifting and you're doing everything correctly as far as prepping the nail, applying the correct size tips, applying or using the correct liquid to powder ratio, if you're doing everything correct but you're still getting lifting, most likely you're not falling around the cuticle area like you should, because we're basically making sure that we seal the acrylic around the cuticle area to where it's really nice and flush and just really neat. That way there's no gaps in between the natural nail and the acrylic, because that's when that's when water will get trapped underneath the nail or any type of moisture, and then it's going to cause the nail to lift, and we don't want that. And it's something that I feel like everyone goes through. I don't know of anybody that just has never had lifting. So it's just, one of those things that we have to learn how to get rid of, because a lot of the time, it may be different things for every person. It could be, like I mentioned, that you're not falling around this cuticle area right, that the tips are too big or too small. So it could be a number of things, but you just have to figure out what is causing your lifting, and it's basically like a trial and error to try to figure it out. Alrighty, so after we finish filing the nails, I'm going in with a buffer and we're just going to buff all of the nails really, really good. And this is to get rid of any of the scratches left on the nails from the hand file or the e-file. So make sure that you buff really, really, really good. So after I finish buffing the nails, I just dust the nails off and then I'm going in with an alcohol wipe and just wiping the nails off to remove any of that dust that was left on them. And then that is it for this full set. So as you can see, they look really nice and clean and very neat. So after this, you would apply the polish, but I wanted to focus on the acrylic application first, and then the designs will be on a separate video. But see, here is another side view. As you can see, really nice and smooth. We have a nice apex, a nice thickness at the tip, and I just love a full set. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at GetNailDirty2, and I'll see you guys next time.